Alrighty, hello everyone, my name is Kit, and today I will be walking through how to implement your own event listener for your own custom UI component. So for this UI component that I created, it's called a UI dropdown. And basically it's this thing here where if you click on it, it shows a dropdown of different options. And what I want is to create some kind of onClick or on-event listener where once you click on an option, then it will send that event to the listeners, and the listener can do like whatever actions they want. So it'll be very similar to in Korge how all of these elements have these like different on etc. listeners. So on click, and then we have other stuff too. On click, on collision, on move, stuff like that. So we're going to create our own on drop down selected listener, basically. So if you actually look at the on click listener here and see how it's implemented, it's kind of strange, but it's done in this way where it looks at some kind of final property, so this click value, and all of these like different events have their own little thing. They have a signal which wraps a mouse event, and then if you look at the implementation somewhere, basically like if a click happens, then it will do something with the signal. It'll send the event off to all the listeners, and then the listeners will be able to get that event and then do whatever action they want. So we're going to follow Korge's pattern of implementing this. So let's just start with our UI dropdown. So for your custom UI event, you'll probably want to create some kind of data class to store the event itself. So here I created this data class called dropdown option clicked event, and basically it will store the new option that is selected via the dropdown. And you see it stores this UI dropdown option. I implemented as a sealed class because what I was thinking was that we can have a bunch of like different option types. There could be a number option, a string option, etc., with different data values. And then, but that's an implementation detail of your own class. You don't need to worry about this. Just know that currently I just have a UI dropdown option that will send off, and then users will be able to see what new option is being selected via this event data class. All right, so to start off, let's go ahead and follow this pattern here. We're going to create a signal. And if you look at signal here, and if you look at this implementation, the way that I kind of think about it is that it seems to store these nodes, which is just like an array of different nodes. And then once the signal is triggered, it will iterate through all these handlers and then call the handlers that were provided for the signal. So the handlers themselves are like the listeners to this specific event. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's just create an on dropdown selected event on dropdown selected. Okay, so I think it follows something like this. Yeah, and then we'll just do signal. Then we'll provide it with our custom data class that represents the event itself. Okay, great. So now all we need to do is to make sure that when we select the option that this event is called or that the signal is invoked. So you see here it has a invoke function which accepts the value itself, and then it will iterate through all the callbacks with that value. Okay, and I have this here, so it's in update main entry. Then you see here I created this event, so we just need to do on dropdown selected event. All right, so invoke is just saying that we can add the parentheses on the variable itself and then do that. Okay. cool. So now that we have that done, we're basically halfway there. The next thing that we need to do is follow the pattern where it adds the handler to the signal callbacks. So yeah, the way that they do it is like this. So let's see, they check if there's a mouse and if it exists, and if it does, it will get that mouse property and then add the callback to that signal listener. For us, we don't really need to do something this complicated. We'll do something much more simpler. So we're just going to create an inline function here, and we'll call it onDropDownSelected, like this. And then it should accept a handler. So we're just going to copy and paste what they do here. Is that, so they have this no inline thing, which is saying that the lambda itself shouldn't be inlined. It'll be like an object. So, okay, we want to pass in our drop-down option clicked event. And I don't think we need to make it a suspend function. For now, let's not make it a suspend function. And on drop-down selected, so we want to add this handler to our event. So add handler. And I think that is basically it. Right, so let's go ahead and test it. So we have this drop down. We'll do drop down dot on drop down selected. We'll do logger.info, and then drop down option was selected. Okay, so let's go ahead and run it and see what happens. Okay, so if I click on this, and then if I click on number 4, we see that, yeah, this handler was indeed invoked. And see, it was given the option of text page 4 and data 4. Okay, let's go ahead and try this out with a bunch of different other options. 53, 67. And if we look here, then yeah, you see that these onClick listeners were indeed emitting the correct events. So that is great. All right. Yeah, that is basically it for this tutorial. This is how you can use Korge's signal thingy to create your own like event listeners. And oh yeah, so I think with the way that we have it implemented, anytime we do this onDropSelected, it will actually add additional handlers to this signal. So if we do this again, and then we copy and paste it, then I think what should happen is that both handlers should be ran when we do the on drop down select. So we select page 11. Then yeah, you see it is iterating through all of the handlers that were added to that signal, and then yeah, calling the handlers. So that's just something to note. If you want to clear the handlers, then I think there is a way to do that. So drop down dot on drop down selected. Is there a way to clear it? It looks like there is this clear option. So yeah. So you can call on the signal itself and then do dot clear. But if you're probably implementing this, you probably don't want to show the internals. So you can maybe make a public function for users to use to do that. All right, I think that is. Oh yeah, one other thing. So notice in the mouse events, they are passing in a suspend function for this handler, they are launching it via a coroutine. So this might also be something that you want to do in case like you don't want the UI thread to be blocking. Although that being said, it seems like everything is being ran on the UI thread. Like if you look at the logger info, the thread is always on 29. So I'm not really sure what is going on. It seems like Korge is single threaded. So that is just something to note. If you do want to implement it in the suspend way, here's how you would do it. So you do suspend, then this thing will give an error. So we do .add, and then inside of this we can do launch immediately with the dispatchers.default, then do handler with the event. So that is how you can do it with a suspend function. So if we go ahead and run it, this should still work as well. So yeah, this worked. Cool. But yeah, you see that it's still being ran on thread 29. So I'm not really sure how the coroutine stuff is affecting it, to be honest. But all right, hopefully this helps, and have a great day.